When people think about World War III, one of the biggest questions is this: would the United States choose to enter a global war, or could it be forced in? The answer is complex. Modern wars involving major powers are rarely just about one country's decision. They are shaped by alliances, treaties, economic ties, and strategic interests. In this video, we'll explain how the US could become involved in a large-scale conflict, even if it did not want war. First, it's important to understand that the United States does not operate alone. It is part of a global network of alliances, the most important of which is NATO. NATO is a defensive alliance built on the idea that collective security prevents aggression. At the center of NATO is Article 5. This states that an attack on one member is considered an attack on all. While each country decides how to respond, the political pressure to act is very strong. If a NATO ally were attacked in a serious way, the United States would face enormous expectations to support that ally. This does not automatically mean full-scale war, but it does mean involvement could begin quickly through military support, logistics, intelligence, or defensive deployments. Beyond NATO, the US has security commitments in other regions. In East Asia, the United States maintains close relationships with countries like Japan and South Korea. These partnerships are designed to maintain regional stability, but they also mean the US could be drawn into conflicts that begin far from its own territory. Another factor is strategic interests. The United States depends on global trade routes, stable energy markets, and secure technology supply chains. If a conflict threatens these systems, American leaders may see involvement as necessary to protect national and economic security. There is also the issue of escalation. Conflicts sometimes grow step by step. The US might initially provide support short of combat, such as equipment, intelligence, or training. But if the situation worsens, deeper involvement can follow. Public opinion also matters. American leaders must consider how citizens view a conflict. Support is often higher when actions are seen as defensive, treaty-based, or necessary to protect allies and global stability. At the same time, US leaders are very aware of the risks of large-scale war. Modern warfare between major powers would be costly in lives, resources, and economic impact. This creates a strong incentive to use diplomacy, deterrence, and limited responses whenever possible. Nuclear deterrence also plays a role, because the consequences of direct war between nuclear powers are so severe. Countries often avoid direct confrontation and instead compete in other ways. This reduces the likelihood of immediate large-scale war, but it does not remove tension. So, could the US be forced into World War III? In practice, it would likely be a combination of obligation, interest, and circumstance. Treaties, alliance credibility, and global stability could make staying out more costly than involvement. However, it's important to remember that involvement does not mean instant global war. There are many levels of response between diplomacy and total conflict. Leaders work to manage crises carefully to avoid crossing the most dangerous thresholds. The main takeaway is that US participation in a major conflict would not be a sudden or careless decision. It would emerge from a chain of events, commitments, and strategic calculations shaped by both risks and responsibilities. Understanding this helps move the conversation away from fear and toward clarity. Global security is complex, and decisions are rarely simple. If you want clear.com explanations of how global conflicts could affect the United States, consider subscribing. Staying informed helps make sense of a complicated world.